Hi, thank you so much for emailing me about, the question in the project. So it's this question here where we've got two pieces of A4 pieces of paper with the dimensions of 29.7 centimeters by 21 centimeters. Okay, and we simply just fold one of the piece of papers so that it creates cylinder A, which has the circumference of 21 centimeters and the height of 29.7 centimeters. So I'll just rewrite this. So the circumference for the circle, which I'll put it on this side. So the circumference is going to equal 21 centimeters. And the height is going to equal 29.7 centimeters. Okay, alrighty, and then it's vice versa for the second cylinder B. So then the circumference is going to be 29.7 centimeters and the height is 21 centimeters. Now, because it's given us the circumference of the circle and we're needing to find out the volume, we're going to need to find out the diameter or the radius of the circle. So in week 1 for module F, we did go through this, but I'm happy to go through it again. So we did go through how we could find the radius or the diameter given the circumference. So I have an example here where we've got find the diameter of the following. Now, as we know, the formula to find the circumference of a circle given the diameter, it's going to equal C equals pi times the diameter. Okay? That's how we find the circumference. But in this case, because we have the value for the circumference and need to find the diameter, we're going to need to substitute C for the circumference, which is 28 meters. Okay, and then we'll just rewrite this formula. So 28 equals pi times the diameter. Now, because we need to find the diameter, we're going to need to use algebra and sort of rearrange this equation so that we have d, the diameter, on its own. Now, to get d on its own, because it's being multiplied by pi, we're going to do the opposite, which the opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide pi times d by pi. And then what you do to one side of the equal sign, you do to the other. So we're also going to divide 28 by pi. Okay, so then we're now left with 28 divided by pi. Sorry, no, that's not the proper pi, but it's there, equals d. Okay, or you can write it the other way where it's d equals 28 divided by pi, whichever one you like. I sort of wish I wrote it the other way, but my answer, I'm going to just convert it. It's going to be d equals, and you simply just put in the calculator 28 divided by pi, which I'm going to quickly do on my phone. 28 divided by pi, which equals, and it's going to equal 8 point, and I'm going to just round it up to do 2 decimal places, so just 9, 1, and don't forget your units. So the diameter is 8.9 meters. Or if you round it up to a whole number, it could also be just 9 meters. Okay, those two answers are correct. Okay, but in your place, I believe with the volume, it asks for the radius, or as we know, to find the volume of a cylinder, it's just area of the base times the height. So the area of the base, or the area of a circle in this case, because the base is a circle, is pi r squared. Oops, sorry, I forgot to do the a. So a equals, so area of a circle equals pi r squared. Okay, so since we know that, and I'm going to help you with this cylinder A, since we know that the circumference equals 21 centimeters, we're going to need to find the radius first. Okay, so I'll help you out with that. So to find the radius, sorry for the dog, to find the circumference given the radius, we would use the formula C equals 2 pi r. Okay, and we know that the circumference equals 21, so we can just simply write 21 equals 2 pi r. Okay, now I would actually suggest with this formula to actually swap the two sides. So I would suggest to put on the left hand side 2 pi r, and then on the right hand side to put 21. Okay, it's just easier to work it out when you swap it. So in this case, we want to get r on its own. Now the best way to get r on its own is going to be a bit confusing, but I would put these two in a bracket, and they're both being multiplied by r. Now, as we already know, anything being multiplied by the letter that we need to get on its own, we simply do the opposite. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So you would divide 2 pi r by 2 pi. So I've moved that, I'm moving both of these, okay? And remember, what I do to one side, I do to the other side. So I'm also going to divide 21 by 2 pi. All right, and I might just put a bracket there so that you know that I've moved it. So then now we're going to be left with r equals 21 over 2 pi. Okay, which then it is just going to be very easy to work it out. You can simply just use the calculator and write up 21 divided by 2 times pi, which should give you an answer. And I will be happy to quickly show you using it on the... So if we use the scientific calculator, I would like to use this one better. So we will have 21, divide that, and I'm going to put it in brackets, 2 times pi, close that bracket, which is going to equal 3.34 and so on, and your choice. It's always best to do it at 2 decimal places, but always check the question. I'm sorry, I've forgotten what the question said, but always do it at 2 decimal places. So I would put the answer for the radius, 3.34. Okay, so going back here, so the radius is going to equal 3.34, I think it was. Sorry, I've totally forgotten the number. Yeah, 34. Okay, and that's centimeters. Okay, so my radius is 3.34 centimeters. So now I can simply use this formula, so pi times my radius that I just found, 3.34 squared, and then multiply that by the height, which we know is, and I might even put a h here, so 29.7. I'm going to just get a new page. Okay, So we are going to be left with, so we're trying to find the volume, and we know it's the base times the height, and we know that the base formula is pi r squared times base, times the height, and we simply put that in. So pi times our radius that we just found, which was 3.34 squared, and then times that by our height, which was 29.7. Okay, so you can simply just put that in the calculator and find out the volume. These same steps that we did over here with the circumference, you'll also be able to find for cylinder B. I hope this was helpful. Again, email me if there's any other questions in the project that you are struggling with. Okay,